Hi, I'm Elijah, Rawk from Phony Ppl. I'm 23, freshly, and I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Asia, from Phony Ppl, the keyboardist, I met him the first day of high school. It was like my first friend ever. He was like, yo, I'm in this like a couple bands. He was in this other band called Lunar Station, and he was in this band called Phony Ppl. Originally, Phony Ppl was LB and Asia, and they were a band to play dime a dozen's music. And then from then on, it got added like Ian, the other guitar player, he was in there, and then Matt and PJ. Well, PJ came and then Matt. And Barry never played bass before. He was the only one out of all of us that didn't go to school for music. He had to play bass because there was no other bass player, so Asia was just like, my brother will do it. We were horrible as seniors. We cut class every day. We would like go to Barry's apartment, because Barry's older than us. He had his own apartment by then. We would go and like smoke and do all kinds of bullshit and not go to class. And we figured it out perfectly. It was like fourth period was when they took attendance for the day. Go in for fourth period and then leave. I was in School of Rock for like all of high school, so I joined in freshman year. And then we were like doing All-Stars, we would do all these tours and like go to Germany and all this stuff. So I didn't really care about high school as much. It's like all my friends in School of Rock and stuff, what was cool to them was like reading and like movies and music and all that kind of stuff. And high school was like,
you weren't learning
it was high school shit, you know what I mean? Senior year, the dude that made School of Rock, he built a house out in Long Island called Studio House, and his idea was he was gonna build a music college as like the first students, and then we would be the professors, so to speak. And it was like obviously a risky thing, but it sounded cool when I was 17. So I was like, fuck it. So I left. It was like a long argument with my parents. So then I went, and it was a bunch of craziness. At first there were no chaperones at all. So it was like a bunch of like 17 to 20-year-old, well, 16 to 20-year-olds in this house, like in and out. It wasn't even a consistent bunch of people, and nobody supervising. It was like all of my friends were older than me, and they're all like punked out, like white kids that are like really good at their instruments and shit. And it was weird. It was a bunch of mushrooms and acid and drugs and girls and all kinds of, like 3 of them would be on like mad heroin. And I had to watch that. I was like 15, and they would do heroin all the time. Crazy. And it just sucked. Like, they would be vomiting all the time and shit. And eventually, it was like me and one of their girlfriends that like had to go super hard to stop that shit. It was crazy. The chaperones didn't come for a little while. We would learn how to record and do all this kind of stuff. It was cool. We were like, it was nobody else. We got to like write our own rules, and we started figuring out our own formulas for stuff. The people that were originally there, that were just there to like smoke and jam and do all that shit, they had to leave. We really started to get work done. Real artists would start to come in the house, and we would like record them and do all this interesting stuff. The Studio House eventually got shut down. It was like over. It was really like one day it was up, and then the next day we got a call, and like all the electricity was off and everything. It was like, it's over. At that point I was in Phony Ppl, so I just went right over. I was like, all right, so we're in Phony Ppl now. And then I went to, then we played some shows. Like we got, we were chilling harder or whatever, and we were all out of high school, but Ian and stuff wasn't. And then Ian and Temmie, the other guitarist and the saxophonist, went to college. And so we were still doing it. And we played this show at Colgate University. It was our first show out of New York City, and Trammell got it for us. And we were opening for Theophilus Lemon, and then that's how we met Theo. We played our show, and him and Dev just watched the whole show, and like from the sound check and everything. And then we went home, and then Knox was like, we have this Brooklyn museum show if you want to play. That was a really fun time, and I learned a lot from that whole period. And like, a lot of access and a lot of opportunities that I'm still benefiting from right now. But at the same time, like, it was kind of difficult because we really just felt compelled. Like, we grew up with Phony Ppl, like those are our boys, and we weren't ever really giving our full 100 on that side because we were so distracted. Every other week it was like we had to go somewhere else, and we couldn't just consistently be. It got to this point where we had to make a decision, and Barry had to make a decision, and it was either go on tour with Theo or go on tour with Phony Ppl. And I was like, I just eventually chose like the Phonies, and Barry chose Theo. Then we kind of kicked the other 3 members out, and it was like 6 of us now. And then we had to write stuff. We didn't feel like we could write music anymore because Dimes was on like every song we ever wrote. And so then we just started all over. And then So that was like 2013. We started to write a new album, and we were like, if this album and if this year doesn't work for Phony Ppl, we literally all have to like reconsider what we're doing. We started writing it, and we got this call, and it was from Matt's friend Adrian. And he was like, I'm up in Montauk at my house. If you guys would want to play this show, it's my friend's birthday. So we went up to Montauk, we had a fun time, and then we told Adrian like where we were at, like we just kicked these guys out. He was like, you know, what are you trying to do? You trying to get signed? You trying to do all this stuff? And we're like, no, like we didn't want to do it. We didn't want to deal with anyone, and we never have liked signing anything. So like we told him that, and he loved that for some reason. And he was like, well, why don't you guys just make it here? And he has everything. We're like, hell yeah, let's just make it here. So then we just started making this album with him. Our management, you know, Pat and Kaz were like a little quiet. Not quiet, but like they had nothing to do. We didn't have anything out. And we needed to have it mixed, we needed to have it mastered, and we had no budget for the entire album. So we were just surprising them. Because it'd be like Ben from Rubber Tracks, like, he was just like, yo, I love like what it is so far. And he would let us come to the Converse studio after it was closed and like run stuff through the board. This other dude, Zach, from our publishing company was like, oh, I'll mix it for you guys. And then it was like, all of a sudden we had all these like resources and like people that like really helped us because just off the strength of believing in it. And then we put it out in January, and then it was awesome. When it went from 9 to 6, it felt empty. And now it feels like super right. You know what I mean? The spacing's right, and like traveling and like just communicating. I think I Wish I Was a Chair was one of the biggest moments in Phony Ppl history. I think that song, for some reason, still to this day, just like hits certain girls real hard. And maybe guys too, I don't know. But every show we play, if it's a Phony Ppl show, if we play that song, the entire crowd sings it. So like, it's got to be the biggest song. You know what I mean? Our managers literally told us we can't not play it. I consider myself a sophomore. Okay. I would have to say. I'm a little bit past the freshman stage of like being a musician, I guess, or being a performer, only because a lot of experience, I guess, in the last couple of years. But I got a lot of growing to do, and I want to get way, way better as a guitarist, not just as a musician and performer and expressionist. I need to practice more, and I need to be more disciplined with just like creating like routinely. That like Kanye's story of like he made 5 beats every day for a summer. And I just need to be on that grind, you know what I mean? I grew up a lot on rock music, like I just happened to, and like being in school of rock or whatever, and I just loved like, you know, like 80s like punk rock shit, like Misfits and like Minor Threat, and well, Misfits are later, but Minor Threat and like Dead Kennedys and like Bad Brains and that kind of stuff. And so I've been like making a secret punk album in my bedroom. I never really was. It's obviously a bonus, but when I was a kid and I first wanted to start playing music, like, and performing it live and stuff, it was always way more about traveling for me than it was about money. I want my band to be one of the, like, few artists and bands that has longevity. Like, I want us to have a career like Prince's or like Earth, Wind & Fire's or something, where it's like, you can't even hate on it. It's just a legacy, and it's like an art exhibit that, like, you either get or you don't get. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, I don't think even right now that Phony Ppl's in a place where you can just be like, oh, I hate that shit or whatever. It's like you either like get it or you don't get it. And I just want it to continue like that, and I want to continue to like affect people in these different places for these different people, rather than like hella like money in my account. That's like, I'm gonna die way happier, I feel. You know what I mean? Because even to get that, a large sum like that, or like just be in that kind of wealth percentage, you gotta do some heavy shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like some like shit that's probably gonna leave you on the other side, like not the same.
Yeah.
I definitely want to be the same. I want to be, like as I am right now, smiling and like playing PS4.